Hi, this is Susie and Kat coming to you from South by Southwest 2014 in Austin, Texas. Kat, welcome back.
Thank you so much. I can't believe we're back already, but
Anyhow, what have you been up to?
Well, today I've seen some really interesting sessions. The first one was Eric Schmidt and Jared Cohen from Google. Eric Schmidt, for those who don't know, is the chairperson or the chairman of Google. Jared Cohen, I can't remember his official title, Director of Ideas, that's it. And they were talking about the future of the digital age, which is based on their book. Look, I was so inspired by their conversation that I downloaded the book in the room. A couple of key things for me that they highlighted was how the future of smartphone adoption in developing nations is having some really massive impact. So, for example, over the next couple of years, we're going to see 1 to 2 billion people who don't already have smartphones get them and therefore have access to the internet that they didn't have before. In suppressed countries, let's put it nicely like that, that has some particularly outstanding implications in terms of being able to get access to information, to education, potentially get out of the poverty or the suppression that they're in. But by the same token, one of the points that Schmidt made in particular was that dictators now aren't suppressing the internet, they're actually using and infiltrating the internet. And I'm not going to go into details because I think it needed context, but he cited some pretty scary examples of how that technology was being used against people as well. So, you know, we live in Australia where we just take for granted the fact that we have access to the world at our fingertips and relatively free information. It was a sobering thought to realise the implications, both positive and negative, from them.
Because in our daily use, we're not necessarily thinking about the internet in those terms, and I think for me it was eye-opening, but it was also eye-opening as far as I think we forget the permanence of everything that we post online and how that may be being filtered and seen, and not to put fear into anybody, but just to be conscious and aware about what you're doing.
Well, and there was a discussion in that session around the potential of maybe of having insurance policies that we take out to protect ourselves against the implications of something that we posted many years ago, or being able to expunge our online history, which of course we can't do. And also there was a humorous conversation. Jared's about to have his first child 5 weeks away from birth, and he was saying that his notion is, I'm not going to allow any publication of any photo, any piece of information about my child until she's 18. And until then, I'm just going to set up an email address and I'll send everything through to this email address. And it was just so funny. But in seriousness, he said, perhaps we need to be having a conversation about online permanence with our children before we have a conversation with them about the birds and the bees.
That was a really, really great concept. Schmidt, of course, being a businessman, did tie things back to entrepreneurship. And he did talk about the countries where entrepreneurship is encouraged are the ones that will survive any sort of economic upturn or downturn. And so that made me think of Australia and our audience, that just to encourage that spirit of entrepreneurship in our country.
Yeah, absolutely. And continuing that rapid, agile, what we've kind of termed pivoting, you know, like see what's going on and then quickly change. Don't get hooked into old traditional structures that tie you down.
So like other South by Southwest programs, we're seeing big thinkers, big ideas, sometimes the familiar, but then just coming at it from a different angle. I mean, that was, I think, session 1.
Yeah, it was my session 1 anyway.
So we'll be back with more from South by Southwest.